Nah, Jay. And what these haters talking about. And what these suckers talking about. Hey, yo, what's good with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed. And like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. So with that being said, man, I got an interesting topic. A few of my subscribers had shot me the video and I didn't even look at it. I just seen it and I was like, all right, cool looking out. But then I finally looked at it and I was like, interesting. I'm gonna bring that up. But before I get into the video, I'm gonna send out the remaining merch that I have once I get paid from YouTube this month. Got a little extra to this month, for December, for the week that I was off. So with that money, I plan to, pay my credit cards off, put the rest of the money what's left away for my bills, and then I'm going to use some of that to send out the merch. But I wanted to do something next month because somebody asked me where I got the pictures of some of the recent Nuestra Familia pictures. Well, I have The Rise and Fall of the NF, the book by Neva Fuentes. I have a full copy of it by Robert Grattan. And I also have the encyclopedia of the Nuestra Familia. I made copies of them personally. So what I plan on doing next is utilizing this month's YouTube money that I make. When I get paid next month, I'm going to personally make copies for people that want these books, since the encyclopedia, the Mexican Mafia, and the NF are hard to get, man. I ordered it twice, and every time they said they didn't have it. When they said they did have it, then they would refund me my money, and then the price of the book will go up. So I'm like, all right, we can't get those books no more, so whatever. I personally just go out my way and make copies for those who want to read the actual literature in itself and provide it for you guys, man. I'm willing to do that. Somebody did it for me, so I'm willing to do it back. To copy the whole book is I think 40-something bucks. It's like 5 cents a page at Staples. So I got you guys. That's what I plan on doing for my next giveaways. So let's get into the video. With that being said, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, always leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Check the links in the description for my Apple and Spotify music. Go ahead and run my streams up, and you can check out my playlist section on my YouTube channel and check out my music right there. Thank you guys for you guys' time. Most importantly, thank you guys for you guys' support. Now, somebody shot me a video from a different podcaster, a podcaster that I talked about. But this individual, his name is Marvelous. I know he's a tattoo artist. I know he's a representative for the South Side. He's a Southerner. Talks a little bit about politics, more government politics. He's very educated when it comes to cultura. And he's always talking about raza. Now, I never watched his channel. I never did anything about him. I've only heard certain things. I know he was going at AC, American Cholo. They had a little beef going on. I let it be. There wasn't a lot of things that I wanted to do in regards to reacting to him and what he said and interpreting what he said. So when people shot me this video, I got it a few times and I never said nothing. Like I said, I didn't even watch the video. And then today I just said, somebody shot it again. I was like, all right, bro, it's the same video I've been getting sent. There must be a meaning or something behind it, so it's coincidental. So I clicked on the video, I listened to it, and I was like, perfect discussion. Now, I did a video a while back, right? And, just so you guys know, so a lot of my subscribers have been saying, why do I keep wearing red and I don't wear blue? I bought a blue sweater and I bought a blue t-shirt. I mean, I got blue shoes, but, I guess I'm going to stop wearing red in my podcast. The thing is, I just got to learn how to dress. I'm too stuck on my old ways of dressing, pro clubs, hats, and regular jeans. I gotta figure out a way to dress. I gotta learn to dress. Trust me, that's a stupid thing to admit, but I gotta learn how to dress different. But anyways, I told you about how the North and South were created, but most importantly, how they were divided. So let's listen to the video first, and then I'm gonna explain furthermore.
Stupid for anybody to say F a Norteño or F anybody up there or whatever. When it comes down to our raza, there are people.
Yeah.
We're the same fucking bloodline, homie.
Yeah.
Who spun that narrative of you're from down south and you're from narrative? We did it. Do you know who did that? Nobody. I'll bet you nobody on YouTube, or a couple of people are going to know that have been busted. But nobody's going to really know who spun that narrative and who separated us. The CDC did that.
So he goes on to talk about how North and South are the same bloodline, which a lot of people are disacknowledging to this day because obviously nobody cares, or just small-minded individuals or uneducated individuals to actually sit there and do their homework. Well, I told you in a long video a while back ago, and I'm going to do it again. I became a maestro of maybe 2 years before I started holding the authority in charge positions. And I was always overseeing maestros in my department, so I used to always read a lot of the educational curriculum he would put out. I had to review his essays before he circulated them on the topics that he was going to circulate weekly. But in Norteño history, which a lot of people don't talk about on YouTube, and I got it. I got a lot of it. See, CDCR is responsible for the division. And what did these organizations do? Bite into the propaganda and utilize the propaganda for their own personal gain. And I'll explain why. So you had a lot of Mexican mafia members in the beginning whose absolute power was so abusive even to their own members that even back in the day, if you read the history of the Mexican mafia, they politicked on each other way worse than what we see today in the YouTube media. They were backstabbing each other bad and taking each other out at a higher rate than they did today. Today, you see them, they came out of the main line, they got rid of a couple of bad apples who they thought they were bad apples. But back in the day, they were literally taking each other out for just not paying for this 20 sack of heroin or this 20 sack of this or a couple $100. And they were whacking their own members out. So the original founding members of Nuestra Familia M, which was Nuestra Familia Mexicana, the original members, they were all ex-Mexican mafia members. In front of the screen, there's a couple of pictures. A lot of individuals that were from down south. That's the part that people don't understand. There's a lot of Mexican mafia members back in the day that were from up north, that were made from being up north. And there's a lot of Nuestra Familia members that are from down south, especially Hawaiian guards, the same neighborhood Weddle Buff was from, who started the NF. There was no discrimination when it came to recruitment. We had two organizations, one that was already pre-existing, another organization who was given its birth and willing to go to war with its previous organization to cause a separation, to cause a division in itself because of power and abuse. But in Norteño history, they're going to make it seem like the NF did the right thing, the righteous thing. It was a resistance. It was a rebellion against tyranny, against oppression, against abuse. But they became the same organization, just a mirror effect of the same organization that they fought against. See, in Norteño education, they always talk about the threat interference of the opposition. I've had to do countless essays, and Norteños had to do countless essays on the concept of what is an opposition. And a lot of young-minded, small-minded individuals that were very uneducated always thought about the opposition as, oh man, it's the Aryan Brotherhood and the skinheads, they're foot soldiers. Oh, it's the Mexican mafia and the Surenos, because the Surenos were created to take out the remaining Chicano movement that was going on within the penal system before they came Norteños and started working for the NF. Because what nobody knows is that the NF didn't want nothing to do with the NR. They were their own organization. They just gave these individuals education. They would pick and choose and recruit certain individuals to open up this education to weaponry and warfare tactics to go defend their honor and defend the people. But they didn't recruit it. They didn't look at the Northern Chicano population like, oh, well, those are our people. Once they became their organization, they were just their organization. Little by little, Northern Chicanos were going up to the NF like, bro, these Southerners, this Sureño population that was created by the Mexican mafia, their sole purpose was to take the rest of us out or make us fall under leadership and an umbrella of the Mexican mafia and continue their abuse. They were looking for power and numbers, so they ran to the NF for help. But for a very long time in the 80s, man, the NF didn't want nothing to do with Nuestra Raza. They didn't want nothing to do with them. Just trained them, gave them what they needed, said, go about your way, we're doing our own thing. Left them to suffer. Told them pretty much, it was like a test. You know, pretty much told them, if you guys want to be part of us, you need our guidance and our direction, go ahead, let's see what kind of heart you guys are. Let's see what kind of warrior you guys are. You know, prepare for guerra, go to war like we did. And then we'll think about whether or not we should defend and protect you guys and train you guys and teach you guys everything that we know and work under our gang leadership. So for a very long time, the Northern California population, Chicanos, Mexicanos, spices that were from up north, went through the same abuse that the founding members of Nuestra Familia went through before they decided to rebel and resist and create their own organization. So there was a lot of people that suffered because these guys became too arrogant, too isolated, too secretive, and only cared about themselves and their organization, and what they wanted to do was become a mirror image of the Mexican mafia, have the same power, have the same control, have the same money, generate the same drugs and revenue. That's all it was. They couldn't get it while working in that organization, so they created their own to do the same thing that the Mexican mafia was doing. So in doing so, there was no discrimination when it came to recruiting raza, brown people, people from the brown community. So like I said, there was a lot of individuals that were from up north that were part of the down south organization, but all the Nuestra Familia members in the beginning came from down south. CDCR seen this bloody war after the shoe war. and realized they had a problem at hand. You had one organization, Mexican Mafia, who became way too powerful early on and created a wave of violence against the inmate population, no matter who it was, Aryan Brotherhood, the BGF, regular inmates. They became too powerful. Then they watched the birth of another organization that was willing to fight this organization as well as the Aryan Brotherhood. So they couldn't just sit there, right? That's what I'm saying. CDC is responsible, but I don't blame them. They couldn't just sit there and watch these two powerful organizations of the same culture, same cultura, same bloodline like Marvelous is talking about, just take each other out. It was too much violence. The purpose of CDCR was to house these prisoners, but their job too is to stop the violence, stop these individuals from fighting. So once they separated them, to identify certain organizations, they put anybody that was from down south in blue jumpsuits, anybody from up north in red jumpsuits. That's how they were able to separate the two and to distinguish both. How do you think they got the red and blue colors, the red and blue paños? Was because the CDCR needed to identify these individuals to make sure that they can stop the bloodshed. Because if you put one dude on one side and one dude on the other side, they're gonna take his life, and they're gonna be held responsible for that, for not protecting the inmate population as well. And plus, they needed to stop the bloody war that was going on since 1968 and the shoe war. This was their way of trying to reduce the level of violence that was going on in prison. So anytime inmates came from reception and got off the bus, they were like, well, where are you from? Oh, I'm from up north. Well, you can go over here with Nuestra Familia. You're from down south? This is before Southerners and Northerners even became a thing. You're from down south? You can go over there with the Mexican Mafia. Which in itself is effective but ineffective. You know, it's an oxymoron. Because you're dividing California from Bakersfield up to Bakersfield south. But some individuals, you're pretty much saying, well, since you're from down south and Mexican Mafia, most of its members are from down south, we're going to put you in the den, the lion's den. And you're going to be a little chicken. And you're going to get preyed upon by these individuals, because what these individuals wanted for so long was power and numbers and controls of Southern California cities that they were from. A lot of inmates that had no part of this shoe war, no part of this gang war between the Mexican Mafia and nuestra familia, that were just caught up in the middle. CDCR had a lot to do with where they go and who they're housed with, who they associate with. And the NF began recruiting from individuals up north, and Mexican Mafia members began recruiting from individuals from down south. That's how the split was done. CDCR is responsible for that. Now, where CDCR decided to say, hey, where we're going to draw the line at, we'll just say Bakersfield, because technically Fresno, Tulare County, Kings County, Kern County, that's the Central Valley. That's pretty much the central of California. So the next one is going to be Bakersfield, which is Southerners. So we'll just call that Southern California. We'll call this Northern California. And that's how the NF began gaining its members from Northern California. But if you read the Norteño history, but that's a part that trips me out, right? Is the Norteño history that we have today isn't what's being taught and circulated within the penal system. They never tell you the NF founders. They never give you names of some of the earliest members. It's only after 1968 you'll see names like Manzana from New York. You'll see Tiny Contreras. You'll see Mad Dog Padilla. You'll see a bunch of names, Hector Padilla. But oftentimes they always illustrate the name and neighborhood of Nuestra Familia members that are from up north. Never told nobody in the history that a lot of their own members, their original members, the people that created that organization were from down south. I never understood it. Now that I'm familiar with the history a little bit more, they never tell you about the Southern California faction that created the NF in the beginning, that started it all. They only want to illustrate and broadcast to the northern manpower that, hey man, we're from up north. This is our territory. This is our tierra. This is what was granted to us. And this is what we have control over and we need to fight for. This soil. Soil that was given to them by CDCR prison administration. Now, the roles could have been reversed. They could have put Mexican Mafia members up north and anybody else from down south, put them with Nuestra Familia. But either way, CDCR was the one to say, from here on up, you guys are going with the NF. From here on down south, you guys are going with the Mexican Mafia. So the Mexican Mafia took all this recruitment and created the Sur, created Sureno, what Sureno means. Their sole purpose was to target Northern California populated inmates. And that's why Northern Chicanos that were in the prison system decided to say, well, since we got divided and we got split and we're placed over here, the only people we have to turn to is Nuestra Familia. But for a long time, nuestra familia didn't want nothing to do with the Northern California population. They were just their own organizations, and they were picking and choosing who they wanted to bring in their organization to further their organization. We're quick to leave everybody else to slaughter. Till Hector Copas Gallegos and everybody else and Corny like literally begged the NF, like, man, we need help. Our people are getting hurting out here. Like, we need the help. We need the assistance. We need the guidance. We need the direction. We need the leadership. Hence, they got recruited into the Nuestra Familia later on, and the birth of the NR was created to protect the Northern Chicano population as Norteños against Southerners. But like I said, Norteño education teaches about opposition. Anytime anybody points out these oppositional forces, time and time again, a lot of Norteños always forget about the main opposition, the law enforcement, CDCR. See, CDCR was the biggest dictatorship in the penal system aside from the prison gangs. They housed you indeterminately. They tried to take away your power. They abused their authority. They had the green wall. They could do whatever they want with you because in all actuality, all the power that you think you have with the influence and dictatorship of your own people and what your people are doing for you on the streets is very limited. CDCR has its own set of powers, has its own set of rules. They can shut you down if they want. They could target these organizations in way more fashions by working with the FBI, by working with SSU, and stop a lot that was going on, but yet they don't. I mean, think about it. You're an inmate, a powerful mafia figure, whether it's the NF or the Mexican mafia. But once you're in cuffs and you're surrounded by 3 or 4 guards that really don't care, that don't answer to nobody because nobody's looking at the prison administration and they're too busy looking at the organizations for their brutality and their violence, they could beat the hell out of you and cover it up and just throw you in that cell and you couldn't fight back. What are you going to do? Cell extract? What are you going to do? Go on hunger strike to get some activist attention? Yeah, it's worked in the past, but none of us really know how much CDCR has gotten away with in the history of the prison administration since it's been there, since these organizations have been created. But they are the ones responsible for the divisional line because it is taught in the Norteño history why we're Norteños from up north. Why we recruit Norteños from up north, why we need to protect the Chicano race that's up north, and why down south why down south is looked upon as oppositional forces. They're the enemies. But they always teach about prison administration. That's why if you read a lot of the bonds and you read the format, there's key elements, key phrases that tell you to learn your inmate rights, to tell you to exercise incentives and privileges entitled to an inmate. They're always going to use the word inmate in Norteño Clecha and Norteño education because we can go to war with another group segment and exercise diplomacy and come to a mutual agreement, or they can separate us. But we still got to deal with the abusive treatment of CDCR. We still got to deal with the rights violations that CDCR abuses and ignores when it comes to inmates that can deprive us even more than an oppositional force like the Southerners and the whites. Because the most that another group faction can do really is just go to war with you or cut your line or intercept your relas or it's small little guerrilla warfare tactics that can be done within a penal system, within a cell, within a dam, within a tier. But CDCR has the power to shut down your communication, has the power to go on your cell and take that cell phone, has the power to make sure that you have no outside contact with the world to even organize your people or send orders out. CDCR is a stronger force to be dealt with. And Norteño education fails to teach Norteños about their rights, about the laws and the legal system, because they're too busy worried about bonds, the format, bringing drugs in the facility, and paying attention to the oppositional forces who are doing the same thing so we can interrupt their criminal activities. That's how small education goes when it comes to the penal system. But the man's right. Marvelous is right. CDCR created that. They caused a division. And we could say CDC in the beginning was a lot of white cops that were racist, that were abusive. But throughout time, that narrative has changed. But CDCR is still going to look at themselves like, man, we're correctional officers. You guys are inmates. You guys ain't shit. You guys committed crimes. You guys are trying to create powers. You guys want to join gangs, but we have the power to shut that door and never let you out. We have the power to go in there and beat you up and it never reach the outside media or other law enforcement agencies of police corruption within the penal system. They got away with it for so long. So think about it. These organizations allowed CDCR to divide our people, separate our people, and identify our people with blue and red. And they played right into that role because all they thought about was power. They weren't no organization, even though it's written through their education, the best interest of the people. We need to protect our people. We need to lead our people. They haven't done that. They've just slaughtered the people. So many people ended up on SNYs and PC sides because of the physical, mental, and program abuse by these abusive authorities. And they managed to go 50, 60, 70 years promoting hate for each other, dividing each other, targeting each other, going to war with each other over yards, over tables, over penal systems. That's how they diminished the idea of brown community, of cultura, of raza, because CDCR divided it and they accepted that division and said, well, those ain't our people now. Why? Because CDCR said it wasn't your people? Because CDCR said we're going to separate you guys, and you guys took these labels and started labeling the people Northern Chicanos and Southern Raza. They allowed a different form of organization, a different political power to divide Raza in itself, to divide the culture. And to this day, it's been hurting everybody on the streets. It's been hurting everybody on the penal system. This day, you see a bunch of these kids wearing red and blue, banging on each other, screaming Norte, screaming Sur. Don't even know the history and why they're fighting each other in the first place. Don't even know why they wear red, why they wear blue. But they're taught to hate each other so much because these organizations couldn't get along in the beginning because these organizations were too bloodthirsty on power and money. They're just as responsible as CDCR for the division because they continue to fuel that division by promoting hate for one another. But nobody seems to see that. Instead, they rather just down somebody because he has a red shirt, or down somebody because he has a blue shirt, or crucify and criticize and talk smack about a southern rapper or talk smack about a northern rapper. Most of the time, a lot of these individuals don't even know why they hate each other. That's how we got divided and conquered. So with that being said, like I always say, it's one life, one chance. When they got one chance to do this right, is get it done. Peace.